Hello everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever your time zone. Welcome, Crane. Welcome to the show. Will your rollout of AI tools leave your organization short of skills? And as artificial intelligence continues to evolve and become adopted by businesses of all kinds, it brings forth opportunities and challenges that require careful consideration. And one of them is the impact to the people within your organization and the kind of skills and the amount of expertise that is needed from employees, assessment and a gap analysis, and develop processes to identify skills shortages resulting from AI implementation. It's important to conduct these assessments to pinpoint areas that need reinforcement. This will lead to better planning for upskilling and help you implement strategic approaches to learning and development aimed at resolving skills shortages and equipping employees with essential AI related competencies. Another way is sharing learning between departments and the ability to foster cross departmental collaboration. This is essential for success. So the question is, how will you facilitate knowledge sharing and best practices, enhance your overall readiness for AI? Of course, change management and communication is essential to foster a culture of innovation and mitigate any resistance to AI adoption among employees. And along the way, we need to attend to various ethical and regulatory considerations, including data privacy, bias mitigation, and compliance with regulatory frameworks. All of this while ensuring seamless integration of AI tools with existing organizational systems and processes to maximize our efficiency and minimize disruption. These factors collectively enable organizations to proactively manage the transition to AI-driven environments while nurturing a skilled and adaptive workforce. Well, that's what we're here today to explore with a great panel of guests. But as always, before I introduce our guests, I do want to say that we want to hear from you too. We'd like to encourage everyone attending today to participate. So please join in with your comments in the chat section. And if you have a question along the way, please jump in. I will attempt to get some of your questions and your comments into the flow of the show, and we'll have a few minutes also at the end for your questions. All right, let's get into it today with our great panel of guests, starting with Ayman Hussein. Ayman, are you with us?
Yes, Kevin, I'm right here. It's great to talk to you again.
Hello, Ayman. It is great to see you. Ayman Hussein is a customer engineering leader at Google. Ayman, where are you calling in from?
Today, I'm calling from the city of Houston in the great state of Texas here in the United States.
All right, Houston, I've been there many times. Welcome aboard, Ayman. Thank you so much for being with us again today. Next with us is also Ronald Gerlach. Ronald, are you with us?
I am. Hi,
Ron.
Kevin. How you doing?
Hello. Hello, Ron. Welcome back. Ron Gerlach is Chief Marketing Officer at Gobert Oil Company. Ron, where are you calling in from?
I'm down here in the sweltering heat of New Orleans.
Oh, I can only imagine. Well, welcome back, Ron. Thank you so much for being with us. Is Martin Miller. Martin, are you with us?
Kevin, here I am. Glad to be here again.
Hello. Hello, Martin. Martin is a former director of AI and machine learning production operations for Levi Strauss. Martin, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from sunny, warm Pleasanton, California.
Pleasanton. I've been through there many times as well. All right, Ayman, Ron, Martin, welcome aboard. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to start off our discussion today by pointing our attention to an article published recently by Fast Company titled AI Chatbots and Tools Are Coming to Gmail. The article talks about how Google and Mozilla are enhancing their services with AI tools. Now, Google plans to integrate AI side panels into Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Drive using its Gemini AI to assist with writing, summarizing, and suggesting improvements. Mozilla will allow AI chatbots like ChatGPT and Google Gemini in Firefox's sidebar for tasks such as summarizing and simplification of information. Now, both companies emphasize user choice and privacy, with Mozilla offering multiple AI options and Google ensuring data privacy in Workspace. These integrations underscore the increasing role of AI in enhancing productivity and user experience in everyday application. And so my question to the group is, what do you feel this will be? What are the implications of these tools and tools like these as they become more easily accessible and ubiquitous to overcoming or perhaps contributing to the AI skills gap? Um, Eamon, what are your thoughts on the article?
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for the opportunity to discuss this. As many of you know, or the audience knows, I work for Google as the company itself. One of the key testaments and tentaments of these kind of product releases or add-on and bolt-ons across the industry, not just at Google, is about productivity and improving productivity. One of the challenges we have had in the past is enabling any user, both commercial and enterprise, to get productive use out of the tool sets. This side panel capability in the browser and workspace allows you to now minimize steps required to be productive. Now, AI is the underpinning of the mechanism, but if you think back a little bit, even in the world of Google, remember when you'd search words and it would pop up the next word that it thinks you want to search on? Well, that was a rudimentary form of making you more productive. So you didn't have to have the entire sentence typed in. It would look ahead, understand some level of search that is based on popularity or scoring and ranking. The same thing is happening with AI in these workspace tools. Now, the reason it's getting proliferated better and easier is the components for engineering on the back end as well as the front end. The devices are faster, smarter. The back end is faster and smarter. So now you're able to enhance the capability of the experience. I think it's going to be a great momentum for productivity. The skills gap will also come with it, but what will happen, the skills gap is going to get narrow. Unless you're a developer and engineer, your skills will not be any different than what you're doing today. It's the same way when email came around 40 years ago, or browsing came out, internet came around. You will be ubiquitously having these tools to help you be productive and better at your device level or your computer level. So I think it's a good move. Privacy, that's a whole different topic.
We could spend another hour talking about the privacy implications just alone, but Eamon, so you feel that this will be a boon to productivity and not contribute to the AI skills gap?
I totally confirm on that. Think of it this way: we buy devices, or even like if you think of our generation before us, when Facebook came around, there was not a tutorial that came with it. You pretty much just fumbled your way around by posting pictures or commenting or liking and tagging. That became a common sense just by the user experience. This skills gap for being productive with AI is not going to be very challenging, because if you're in the language that you are in, you speak to it very simply and ask it, like, recap this email, recap this website. What are the bullet points I should pay attention to? You can convert this to a Word document. All those actions, you were using keyboard functions or just mouse clicks to get done. So now you're speaking to it or using an interface that makes the same thing functionally productive. Now, prompt engineering, which has also itself evolved, is becoming less a challenge of a skill gap. Now, if you're in the engineering side or more of a technical realm, yes, there is a skill gap that has to be addressed, but that's not going to be on the consumer productivity side. For example, if I said, go search for something on a browser and you had the side panel, within minutes or so of common sense intelligence, you'd figure out that it's there with the user interface that tells you to do exactly what you need to do next. And that's prompting you to do this next. Maybe you'd like that. So it's making you more productive. Absolutely.
All right, very good. Now, Ron, these integrations, as I said, underscore the increasing role of AI in enhancing productivity and user experience in everyday applications. What do you feel will be the implications of these tools as they become more ubiquitous?
Well, I would agree with what Eamon just said. I mean, as people start using them in their everyday life, they're going to get more comfortable with them. They're going to get more acclimated with them, and they're going to better understand how to prompt it correctly to get the most out of it. So I think productivity-wise, most people are just going to become very they're going to get used to the speed, the ability, the usefulness of the AI programs, and they're going to expect that in everyday life, whether it's at work or at home. So it's only good moving forward. They're just going to get more comfortable in using these tools, and just be better at it, better at using them.
Martin, do you agree that it's only good?
Wow, I knew it would come to this, Kevin. So we'll start productivity enhancements. I'm pro and for the excitement around it. I wouldn't necessarily call it AI, and I would say there's some place for it. You know, where it really hurts is I think we still have to come back to fundamentals of learning and what core learning capabilities we want for certain roles, and not leave people behind on be able to be a master of their language, not using the tool to become the master of the language, because it's going to use a voice and maybe some intent that they don't fully understand if they're not a master of their own language. I think that's a really important piece. And then, you know, when it summarizes, what lens is it summarizing through? Is it really summarizing through the proper lens for that domain? Is it understanding the domain that it's summarizing for, or is it just looking at words and categorizing to vectors, which is what it's doing in a data store, and finding the most likeness? And just to get a little technical on this, I think there's a general purpose case, and then there's specialized purpose case. In the specialized purpose case, what they're rolling out will not necessarily be much of an enhancement, but wait and stay tuned for the specialized cases to be more commoditized and privatized.
All right, very good. Well, the article is from Fast Company. AI chatbots and tools are coming to Gmail, Google Drive, and Firefox. You can find the link in the attendee chat over here to the side. Take a look. Let us know what you think. What do you feel are the implications of these tools? Will it be good or bad for the skills gap? That is a Fast Company article over here in the chat. All right, now, gentlemen, let's get into our main body of discussion today. We have 3 points of discussion to talk about, starting with processes for identifying skills shortages as a result of AI tool implementation. I mentioned in my introduction the need for a skill assessment gap analysis and planning for upskilling. So my question to the group today is, how can we best identify any skills gap? And Ron, can you help us out? What is your experience with this? And what are your recommendations to identify skill shortages as a result of AI tool implementation?
Well, I would think you'd do probably a few points for it. You'd want to immediately do a skills audit. You know, check out what skills your team already has. Then try to compare this with what's needed for the new AI tool. This also leads you into the gap analysis. See where your team's current skills fall short compared to what's needed. Get regular input directly from the employees and the managers about what skills they feel are lacking, and then look at the performance change after introducing AI. If there's a drop, there might be a point to missing skills somewhere.
And are there processes that are available to us, are already out being used that we can follow, or is this something that I need to make up on my own?
Well, I think it's got to be, well, there are processes out there. I think it's something that really needs to be customized to your specific situation, your company, your business goals, and your team, and then go from there, move forward from there.
All right, very good. All right, Martin, what are your thoughts on identifying skills shortages, and how can we best identify any skills gaps, and what are the essential skills that we need today?
Great question, Kevin. Well, to start with, you know, in the last 20 years, learning management systems have come into the marketplace, and automation and parts of AI have been implemented into learning management systems. So you can build a series of courseware for specific domains, make it simple, lightweight, and you can do simple assessments of staff for specific areas. You can design a curriculum, and that's very powerful. And you can learn on the job. You know, remember the old saying is nothing like working in place and learning as you go. I think that's huge. And it makes it more entertaining as a worker to be engaged and learning at the same time.
Well, that sounds great. Learning on the job, yeah, of course. But what should I do if I'm an employee and my employer is not necessarily encouraging me to learn on the job? They're just thrusting me into a position. What can I do as an individual? Are there college courses or places I can study on my own?
Well, great. Another great question. So there are plenty of free courseware opportunities out there. And as far as linking it to an LMS that's basically taking you on your journey, most of those are behind a paywall. You pay for it. So you can pick up simple skills. You know, even LinkedIn Learning has free courseware. You can go off on YouTube, you know, say the big ugly name, and find courseware where you can learn as you go, but it won't test you on YouTube. But on LinkedIn Learning, you have some free opportunities to pick up small pieces of subject matter expertise. And everybody should be committed to their career and investing in some areas of subject matter expertise all the way through their career.
Very good. Now, Eamon, you mentioned that you are with Google, you're a customer engineering leader at Google. From your perspective at Google, how should employers address skills shortages? How can we best identify any skills gaps? And what are the essential skills that are needed today from frontline workers?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I concur with Martin and Ron. So let me put it in a couple of layers here. In the context of AI, there are two majority camps, and I say this in a very generalized format. If you are in the business of creating solutions and software leveraging AI, the skill gap is significantly different than you that will use AI in your role or responsibility for being more productive and more functional. So that is a chasm that has to be closed faster and quicker. The gap for being AI savvy to create new solutions and products is lacking woefully, and there's not enough content out there or training material out there for you to kind of bootstrap yourself into it. So what's happening is the skill gap is getting very polarized based on people that have that mindset of learning or kind of tinkering around on their own. You know, think back in the early 80s or even the late 70s, with all those innovations that came out of it, PCs and computers, weren't those tinkerers. They actually figured out how to do something, the Dells and the Apples and the Bill Gates types. That's what they started tinkering with it. Then on the consumer side, what you have to understand that we actually have a lot of the native skills available. We just have to enhance, polish it, and put it to productive use. Ron and I share the geography of the southern United States. There's an industry that's proliferated here, which is very energy and oil and gas centric. Now, there's a challenge in this industry is, first of all, any AI, both learning on the technical side and on the user side, has to be very industry centric. And so some industries are leapfrogging ahead. For example, healthcare has used AI both on the creating solutions products, but also on the using it as a service for their benefit. But some industries are lagging woefully behind, and that has to transform. So that skill gap has to really come from innovators and leaders like someone like Ron. You have to actually say, you know what, I'm sitting on a plethora of data here. And if I want my skills gap of my employees to get smaller, I need to take this data, do something with it in the AI construct. And there I need to invest, learn productivity, and push this forward. But on the user side, you'll be surprised how much simpler it's getting. And I both Ron and I live in hunting zones. It's like 110 Fahrenheit. He's indexed here this week. I had an AC technician come in. He was a younger fellow. He had an iPhone as the only technical device that outside of his tools bag that he had. He opened up the compressor. He took a picture of it. AI immediately said what the parts were, what he needed. And because he was savvy enough with, you know, TikTok type things, he was able to do 95% of his job without having to do what even 2 years ago, the technician would do is call their manager saying, hey, I need a part, I need a capacitor, I need this. They have evolved that. And that training did not happen because they put him in front of a course and say, go learn how to be more productive. It came from this organic evolution of a generation of folks that already know these capabilities. For example, I take better pictures on my smart device than I would actually use Photoshop on my laptop to edit it, because that ability to pinch and zoom and make more things have gotten so much superior on the consumer side that the training is inherently about me being productive in that space. Now, there are some capability and requirements in an industry. So when I think about the skills gaps and how we're going to use AI to close it, I have to think about it from the industry perspective. It is not the same for everybody. But the biggest challenge from my native industry, like the technology side, we have a woeful skill gap that if you think about the world of 8.5 billion people, some countries are investing in that skill gap training and they're going to get a drop on us in the US, or they will actually not invest. And so we actually are not, it's like being a doctor. You have to teach the basics and the AI basics that investment, the educations or institutions are not really making it. And therefore you are all over it. It's a Wild West. You can go learn different models. You can go learn different technologies, and some of them will age out. When I grew up in technology, Nobel and CCNE, being a Nobel network engineer was a great thing to do. But then, disappeared. So if you invest in the wrong technology, wrong learning, from a technical perspective, you may be in a disadvantage, and we have to kind of figure out how that organization comes through. I'm hoping educational institutions will have programmatic ways of doing courses and training and certifications that puts you in a path of these different AI areas and capabilities. So to solve it requires us to make investment in real, true curriculum-based training and learning. On the use side, I think it's flavor of the week. Things will change so fast that we won't really need to have much of a training. And if we do it right, we'll get a leapfrog ahead of that as well.
And you know what, that last point is important, because just like with marketing and school, there's plenty of places that will teach prompt engineering and AI basics, and even go beyond that. But just like in marketing, what you learn in school, things have changed so much once you get out in the real world, that what the school is teaching is always going to be lagging behind a little bit. Yeah, I think more than likely you're going to start seeing kind of a mentorship type program within companies, to where some person or some group who is really actively engaged in it is going to kind of naturally take on the role of teaching it for the betterment to the rest of the organization. And that's probably where a lot of the learning will end up coming from.
All right. I guess I'm still struggling a little bit. I'm trying to understand what exactly are the skills that are needed, and why are we decrying a skills gap? If indeed AI helps me do things more easily, like in your example, Eamon, it helps me by giving me the information and that I need to move forward in a job or a task, and makes it so that there is no skill gap. Yet we seems to say that we have a gap in skills in organizations. What exactly are those skills, and what exactly should be the curriculum for training my people? Is it prompt engineering that I need to concentrate on? Is it some other capabilities that people are lacking that cause this skills gap? Where should I be paying my attention if I'm an employer?
So if I'm going to use the industry that Ron and I are very familiar with. In the energy industry today, I am sitting on a plethora amount of data, hardcore data. So for me to make my team more productive, I need to digitize this data and then use a level of AI on it. So if I want to be differentiate from my market, like I want to be a leader in this energy vertical, I need to invest in people that know what large language models are, AI, cognitive services, all these different things that are already proliferated in AI solution space, but I have to do it for the industry. I have to get that drop on it. As soon as I get the drop on it, now I'm training my employees to use that. On the use case side of it, prompt engineering, in my mind, is going to dissipate to be normal prompting. I'm like, you don't have to. The reason we have prompt engineering, the word in there, is like when we talk to a computer, you actually have to talk to it like a computer, because if it's just like when you do search, if you don't add the and sign and a search of this plus this plus this, it's not going to be a complete search. I think that's going to dissipate over time. But the person that's going to make it dissipate is the person that's actually taking prompt engineering and refined it on the software side. They've gotten better at training the models, been more superior at training the models, more tokens per model, and that's going to happen. And so if I want that prompt engineering to be ubiquitous of all industries, aviation, energy, healthcare, I really need people that understand the industry, then the AI part of it, and then bringing it together, and then large computers like GPU and NVIDIA, all of these people become very valuable because they're taking all this computing power, all this knowledge, and combining it together. But if you could not do that, you have to do it in a small bucket of it. If you do it in a small bucket, if you just want AI for energy, you better make sure you have energy people that understand computer skills and technologies about programming, developing AI, and model training, because that data is already there. You just need to start looking at it from a different perspective. And so you have to understand that model. So the gap that we really have is, do you want, let's use you as the example, Kevin. Like if I wanted to not talk to a human and have an AI moderator for a program, first of all, I need to know what you do. So I have to go and investigate all the different, hosters of video podcasts there are, and then, kind of take their knowledge and combine it into one place, and then create a model that says, if you act like this, then you're going to be an AI bot, a moderator for a podcast. But if I didn't do that, collect the data and we combine the data, then my model, no matter how superior it is not going to do the job as well as you do. But on the flip side of it, if I have all the data, but I don't know how to create an avatar and a smooth talking engine that sounds like you and talks like you, that skill, unless I'm hiring competitively, I'm never going to be able to do that if someone is not learning it and being taught that. So it really depends where we are. In the world of Google, because we're a software company, we're investing on, let's invent new stuff, let's do research and development. And on the user side, that's what Workspace and having that Gemini side panel is all about. It's like, okay, we've already done that, so let's just make that easier now for people that need to be on the use case side. It's really split down the middle.
All right, very good. Well, I want to move on to our next discussion point, which is we're heading right to it, and that is planning for upskilling and approaches to learning and development to help resolve skill shortages. And we have a question and comment coming in from Maria. Thank you, Maria, for your contribution today that really leads us down this next road. And Maria is asking, what are the most significant factors contributing to the skills gap in AI, and how can industry and academia collaborate to mitigate these challenges? Ron, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, the first part, as far as the factors are concerned, we've been covering a lot of, we've been talking a lot about that, already. I think there's limited access to quality education on it. There's a curriculum gap where programs lag in updating their curriculum to match the advancements in AI technology. I think there's also an industry demand and supply mismatch. There's just a shortage of people right now that are truly professionals in the use and AI, and there's just limited training available then, because there's so much shortage. I think as far as how to factors that you could that could help solve this, I think you probably need some kind of collaboration between industry and education to work together so that the right curriculums can be put together. The right we can pinpoint where the skills skills gaps are, and teach toward that based on what the real world, what the working world needs right now, and even foresees in the future. And also, this has to be, it can't just be centered in tech hub areas. I mean, this needs to be rolled out everywhere. So everyone has an equal chance and an equal understanding of how AI works.
All right, and Martin, you're an expert in AI and ML, formerly with Levi Strauss. What are your suggestions for employers? What's the best approach that they should be using in order to train and develop employees?
Well, Kevin, thank you for picking on me. First, let's start. We're both, let's just be honest. We're both older than dirt, so we're holding up the age spectrum here. imagine
pre-dirt.
120. Well, pre-dirt. Okay, I'm just dirt.
Pre-dirt.
Imagine 125 years ago, and you were in the business of building carts and buggies pulled by horses. Just 125 years ago. And you can see these things coming up on roads, or dirt roads back then, that had little motors in them. And they made a lot of noise, and they weren't super reliable. But you could see this, and I'll use the metaphor, this train wreck coming called the automobile. And the automobile was coming into play, and there were many manufacturers of horse-drawn buggies and carriages. So let's rethink. We need to change, adapt with change, and apply that to educational processes and corporate educational processes. And as far as full digital transformation, I consider AI as a significant piece of digital transformation. So part of the journey is reassess where you can, automate where you can, educate your team everywhere. If you want to be relevant, you're going to need to progress to change, or you'll become the horse and buggy company that lost out on market space opportunities and died. So it's pretty clear. This cat has been let out of the bag, with that English metaphor, and we won't get into the meaning of that, but it is really important to accept change. And educational systems, educators, I've spoke with a chairman of a specific university about AI and his thoughts from the engineering curriculum, and he's really concerned, and they have not embraced it. It's a major university, and I had a candid conversation with him in private, and we talked about, well, what happens when you consider yourself in the realm of a horse and buggy, and put that perspective with the generation of automobile coming, and 50 years later, where are those horse and buggies?
All right, very good. Now, Eamon, can you give me an example of one company or one use case that you feel has been particularly successful in upskilling their employees? What did they do, and how can we do it too?
Absolutely. So it's not an industry, it's more actually the catalyst of why learning has become very important now. I'm going to deviate a little bit in the technology realm. So if you're a software developer, your catalyst for success is knowing software languages like C, C#, Java, .NET, whatever it is. And when you pick a language, what happens is you have to be very proficient in it. But what it also does, it detracts you from being proficient in everything else. Think back 30, 40, 50 years ago when COBOL programmers came and went, but guess what? They're still around, because the Fortran programmers are still around, because some systems are dynastically invented that needed to be kept up and going. So the industry, I'm seeing proliferation of AI and skilling that goes with it, is actually these language developers in the technology space that are branching out from the core comfort of a language that they may have been disciplined, educated in school, academia, to become very proficient in. Now taking a leapfrog and saying, hey, if I know this language in the technical realm, I can now go do this language, because the construct underneath it is pretty same. I need to use AI to learn it, convert it, and be better at it, because I'm using that as a tool. So I'm not learning from scratch up. I'm just augmenting my learning. So if you think about the horse and buggy conversation that Martin talked about, there's a reason our cars have four wheels. There's a reason our cars have suspension, because they've been in the horse and buggy days. That's how they were done. The ones that survived are the ones that said, you know what, you want to put an engine on my buggy? You'll still need the four wheels. I need to put a differential now. Maybe I'll have to put the better suspension. They are the ones who evolved faster. If you look at the historic images of Porsche as a car company, their cars looked like horse and buggy bolt-ons with an engine. That's essentially what it was. But they evolved, they moved past it. So this language, the technical software developers that are taking advantage of AI as a tool to better learn and get better, are the ones that are saying, hey, I grew up in C#, but that's kind of falling out of favor. I need to probably go on Ruby on Rails or something like that. I'm going to use AI to convert my code and then get a better understanding with it, because I don't have time to sit through a semester class to learn programming from the ground up. I already know programming. I just need to know the algorithmic changes that I need to do. AI has been proliferating software developers to the point where they're almost getting out of jobs now, because now you're getting to the point where anybody can just write me a C# program for this. You could do that right now on any of these large language models, and it spit out a code for you. So it is also proliferating negatively on that way as well.
All right.
Kevin,
we are here today. Yes, go right ahead. Sorry,
No,
I
I was just
interrupted. Go right ahead.
sorry, Kevin. I was just going to give you asked for industries that have been successful in AI. I live in a very rural state, and I can tell you one that is would probably be a little surprising, that agriculture has actually embraced AI technology quite effectively. They can now analyze soil conditions, weather patterns, crop health using AI, pest and disease detection. Um, they can identify early automated harvesting using AI. In fact, John Deere, for quite some time now, has been thinking and using about AI and machine learning to power precision agricultural technology like smart tractors and crop monitoring systems. So it is getting into areas that you would probably not think AI and agriculture don't really sound like they would go together, but they are working and doing it very well.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. All right, we are here today with Ron Gerlach, Ayman Hussein, and Martin Miller. This is Digital Transformation Talk. We are talking about the AI skills gap. And gentlemen, we could talk all day on these subjects, and we are quickly running out of time. I do want to move on to our last discussion point today, and that is sharing learning between departments. I mentioned this in my introduction. The ability to foster cross-departmental collaboration is essential for our success with AI. The question is, how do you facilitate knowledge sharing and best practices between departments? I'll open it up to everyone here, all three of you today. Can you give us some advice for departmental leaders and C-suite leaders, the best way to foster sharing between departments and overcoming what some have called the capability crisis across the enterprise? Anyone?
If you don't mind, let me kick this off. I'm going to go as old
Please.
school here, and I'm going to use an analogy of an example. Remember when before the pandemic happened, people would go to offices and buildings, and you'd have a floor captain for evacuations. They would have a vest and a hard hat, and they'll say, "Go down this way," learning all that thing. You need champions. Every department should have a champion for AI. You need somebody that's going to be, I will become the learn it all, know it all, and go from that, become the champion of AI on the department or on the floor. And then you would create a culture of these champions coming together in a collaborative fashion, often enough for feedback and exchange, almost creating that culture of AI safety, so to speak, and build on that. Without champions, interdepartmental conversations will not happen because it is a very tool-centric, it is a very data-centric capability. If your job requires you to have data and the other department is not digitizing their data or not using AI to make that data accessible, no matter how much you want to collaborate, it's not going to work. So you need to have those floor captains, those champions, AI champions in groups and divisions. And that is a C-suite level decision-making. Somebody have to say, yes, our company is going to have an AI seat at the table. Therefore, we're going to create a culture and org that will do that as well.
I've got something to chime in to lift up on where
Yes.
Eamon left off. So go C-suite and coming down, you need to make the incentives for your executives and coming down the chain for everybody that gets a bonus or how they're graded as part of their incentive chain to collaborate, to share, to have measurable deliverables and expectations. If those are aligned and go with corporate values and then apply to how data is shared, that's a golden opportunity. Without the data share, the AI will become useless.
Well, and I love that idea, but how do we measure that, and how do we incentivize that cross-departmental collaboration and cooperation?
Well, you start simple. You come up with an initiative that makes sense. I want to optimize the way we create, in my legal firm, we're going to create a legal brief, and we're going to build our own way of doing that. And we're going to have several departments agree that we're going to unify in how we create our format, our structure, and how we apply it, how we source our data. You associate details. You have to have some details. Every department may have separate details, but there are going to be departments that share similar goals and similar data sets. So they have to align around those areas.
All right. Ron, do you have some thoughts on how we can facilitate knowledge sharing and best practices between departments?
Outside of what both Martin and Eamon said, which are spot on, I think to me it's just you have to make it look important. Schedule regular meetings where teams share their experience. Make sure that the teams and the members from different departments work together on a regular basis, and then document the best practices for it. But really just show that as a company, as a corporation, you're taking it seriously and you're putting a lot of emphasis on this. And I think by showing that you put importance on it, and it's not just a one-off thing that we do one time, we have one meeting about it and then everybody just goes off and does their own thing. By putting that importance on it, it helps make it important to the people that are on the teams, and to everyone else for that matter.
One way I've seen organizations be successful with change process innovation is by establishing a center of excellence, so that people from different departments and across the enterprise come together on a recurring team that looks at the advancements, say, in process automation or AI implementation, with an eye to replicate the lessons learned and the benefits across the department in different ways, so that they are now working as a cross-functional team for this center of excellence. Have any of you seen this approach be used for AI implementation?
I have, Kevin, and openly, the challenge with the Center of Excellence, once again, there needs to be the incentives to why the Center of Excellence will be successful in proliferating their outcomes across departmental needs, corporate needs, profits. Remember that P word that people have to do quarter to quarter in public companies, and how that associates. So if you can associate to a bottom line, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to do something more efficiently and save money, then you can equate your COE very easily.
All right. We have been speaking today with Martin Miller, former Director of AI and ML Production Operations for Levi Strauss, also Ron Gerlach, Chief Marketing Officer at Gobert Oil, and Eamon Hussein, Customer Engineering Leader at Google. Now, gentlemen, we have reached the action item round of the program today. I'm wondering if each of you could please provide us with one quick action item that we can use to take advantage of your ideas and advice today. Ron, I'd like to start with you if I could. Ron, do you have an action item for us?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one would be the best one to use. Regularly assess the skill gaps, develop strong training, and promote knowledge between departments. Make sure that everyone is on the same page and maximizes all the benefits of the AI technology.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ron. Now, Martin, do you have an action item for us today?
Sure. I'm going to plug something in the process here, but let's think about the fundamental element here: reading, absorption, and comprehension. And go ahead and look on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or your favorite ebook seller for AI in a Weekend, an executive's guide. I priced it so low that it's hard to pass it up, and I will refund you on the purchase if you write a positive review for me.
Oh, very good. All right, Martin, thank you so much. All right, and finally, Eamon Hussein. Eamon, do you have an action item for us today?
I keep it very simple in my mind. If you're a fan of the OpenAI technologies like ChatGPT, or you're a fan of Google Gemini technology, ask it just that. It's like, I am new to AI. What should I focus on? Simple words. You'll be surprised among the depth of conversation that will come out of it. And to keep in mind, these conversations are tracked. It's not just once and done. You can ask on top, say, based on the answer you just gave me, give me some more answers, right? So do that at the very least. If you are confused on this podcast right now and have no idea what we're talking about, go to Gemini, google.com, or go to openai.com and just type it in and ask, I don't know what AI is. What does it stand for? You'll be getting a lot. And then goes back to what Martin was saying, is learning comprehension. Read it. If you have skills deficiency then of learning and comprehension, that may be a challenge, but otherwise it's all there. You'll be surprised the amount of self-enabled learning there is possible try it, and you will be on a snowball roll, and you won't be able to stop. You'll be learning how to fly a plane by the end of the week, if that's where you want to go.
All right, some excellent action items this week. Thank you, Eamon, Ron, and Martin, for being with us today. Your advice and perspectives were spot on. Thank you so much. I hope that we'll get a chance to talk again soon. And everyone joining us today, thank you too. Now listen, this program will be on hiatus for the summer, but we'll be back in the fall with some changes and some surprises. So please stay tuned. In the meantime, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there. Check me out. I'm Kevin Crane. And you can check out my weekly audio podcast, the Digital Transformation Podcast. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of the Digital Transformation Talk. And until next time, I'm Kevin Crane. Thank you so much for watching.